The 9-step hiring process unpacked. Hi, it's Mike Novak from the Novak Real Estate team, part of REAL Brokerage. Today I want to share with you our team's 9-step hiring process. And I have to give credit to Erik Hatch and Hatch Coaching. They built this process out and our team kind of took it and tweaked it a little bit to fit our own unique culture. So getting the hire right is 95% of the job when you're growing your team. If you get the right who, the how gets taken care of very, very easily. That person builds the how, but you have to make sure that you've gotten the right person. So it all comes down to how do you get that person right, and instead of how do you just guess on getting the right hire. So with that in mind, we've created a 9-step hiring process. I'm going to walk you through each step. The first step is that we like to cast a really wide net for hiring. So that means that we're reaching out to people in our sphere. We're talking about it on social media, and it's also going on the job boards. We use a tool called Wise Hire. Wise Hire is kind of like a CRM for hiring, and it makes it really easy and efficient to be able to filter candidates and kind of review their personality profiles, their resumes, things like that. The second step is to research the candidate. We don't put a lot of weight into resumes. Resumes are just somebody telling you exactly what they are kind of promoting themselves with. It doesn't really mean a lot. There's not a lot of integrity to it necessarily. So we look at their resume, but we just look at things to eliminate them. We look for really sloppy resumes. We look for someone that's job hopped around to a bunch of different jobs and not stayed in the same place. And then we also look at personalities. If the personality type is not right for the role that we're filling, meaning their disc profile is not a match, then we won't typically move forward. That person will go ahead and disqualify them right then and there. The disc profile is a very complicated way to learn if that person could be a fit for the position you're hiring. It's way beyond the scope of this video, but I have made some other videos kind of explaining disc profiles and what the ideal disc profile is for different positions on your team. The third step is what we call a Google form. A Google form is a form that we have built that we send out to applicants, and we ask them to fill out that form with very specific responses. And what we're looking for is just the ability of that person to complete a basic task and jump through some hoops. Like the answers carry some weight with us for sure, but we're just looking to make sure they really have the desire and the drive to actually get this job. They're not just sending out resumes everywhere. They're taking the time to research the company that they're applying for, and they're taking the time to go through the hiring steps. The fourth step is a phone interview. So what we do is we send out a Calendly link to the applicant, and they can grab a time on one of our schedules, and we hop on a phone call with that person, and we just have a bunch of questions we ask them and try to understand more about who they are, looking to disqualify this person and see if they are not going to be a good fit for our team. A lot of times we eliminate people right here on that initial phone interview, just because once you get them on the phone, you start talking to them, you realize that they're not your people or they would not be capable of doing this job. The fifth step is what we call essay questions. So we send out a couple of essay questions and we ask the candidate to respond back with responses to those questions. And what we're looking for, again, is the willingness to jump through the hoop and to do the exercise. Can the person actually write and sound intelligent when they're doing it? Can they spell even reasonably correct? Those are all different things that we're looking for. So we definitely carry some weight in the responses that they send back to us when it comes to the essay questions, much more so than we did with the Google form, but it's a very, very important part of the process. From there, we go to reference checks, and we like to do what we call a 3x3 deep. So we talk to the person's reference that they gave us, and then we ask that reference if they know anybody else that also knows the applicant, and then we reach out to that person also. And we do that again with that person that we talked to. So we're going 3 layers deep on every reference that the person gave us. Oftentimes people are going to give you references that are personal in nature and they're not actually the person's direct supervisor at the job that they had before. So you want to make sure you're really qualifying the reference that the person is giving you and making sure the person actually was in some sort of supervisor role with the person that is applying for the position with your company. From there, we move to what we call the panel interview. And the panel interview is a handful of our leaders. They sit down with the applicant and they just kind of review everything that the applicant has submitted up to that point in time. They look at their resume, they look at their disc profile. They just try to ask them a lot of questions to figure out if this is a good fit for them. And they also try to get to know the person at a really deep level and understand what makes this person tick and what makes this person who they are today. We're typically looking for people that have gone through some kind of challenges in life, have some kind of setback that they fought through, because we're just looking for that grittiness when it comes down to our unique team. But the panel interview takes about an hour to an hour and a half, and again, there's 4 or 5 of us that are typically in there. There's a lot of questions that we ask, but a lot of it is just getting to know the person a lot better and understand their life from when they were born as a child to getting them to this actual position that they're now applying for, and all of their job experiences and growing up and stuff along the way. The 8th step is what we call validation by department. So this typically looks like a happy hour with the department this person is going to be working in. If it's an agent, they'll go out for happy hour with the agents. If it's an ISA, they'll go out for happy hour with the ISAs. If it's an admin, they'll go out with the admin. And typically we'll ask them to bring their spouse so we can meet that person, get to know them better as well, and just kind of see what level of support that person has at home and get to know them a lot better as well. The ninth and final step is when you can finally make this person a job offer. Super important, obviously. Once you get to that point, you can feel confident that you've made the right hire. More often than not, you're going to have gotten it right because you took the time to slow it down and to make the correct hire. So the ninth and final step is just literally giving them a call and making that offer, giving them an offer letter with all their specifics on what the pay looks like, the details of the job, the scope of the job, and things like that. And you should have talked about all those things during the interview process to get to that point. So this is a long video. There's a lot of steps to this process. It's a lot to implement, but I promise you, if you slow down when it comes to hiring, instead of just hiring anyone that can fog a mirror, you're gonna end up with a lot better culture on your team and everyone's gonna be a lot more successful.